laws, and then we have the performative laws. And those are the ones that help us become better people. So the negative keeps us away from trouble. And that's really what we need. Traits. But that is wrong. He says it's true. It's so powerful. Our sages teach us how important it is to. It's very easy for someone to get caught up in the day-to-day. I'm so bad. Know who we are. We have to know how great we are, and only through that can we hopefully help correct our negative traits. Hatchala kol avoda pratit hi dafka chavayat romamut ha'adam. A person has to know how great they are, how uplifted they are, how capable they are, how strong they are. We all have flaws, that's true. But just beating ourselves up is not going to help. You take any company that succeed, they had to overcome their flaws. How did they overcome their flaws? By recognizing what their virtues are. The minute they recognize what their virtues are, they say, how do we grow with those virtues? How do we grow with those qualities? And then we can learn to stay away from our negative aspects, and we can overcome it. A person who doesn't know their positive traits is a person who's lost. And we'll see this further. We're going to bring other sources that it's a devastating thing if a person doesn't know their positive traits. See, he says like this: when a person knows their positive traits, they become uplifted, they become elevated, they become holy, they become inspired. We become inspired when we see, when someone compliments us, how good do we feel? We feel so positive, we feel upbeat, looks, right? Imagine if we were able to recognize our perfect positive traits. That would uplift us. That would get us excited and energized. And that's what we need to look for when we study Musar. Not to knock ourselves with our negative traits. Oh, look how bad I am. Look how weak I am. Look at the positive. Find the positivity in every single thing that you do. Look how great I am. And by the way, this is a very, very important thing in education. When we talk about educating our children, the first thing we need to do is tell them how great they are. Tell them how loved they are. Tell them how capable and talented they are. Not, look at the mistake you did here and look about that, and I can't believe you didn't get 100 on this test. No, just pump your children with positivity, and that will eliminate the negativity. If we keep on reinforcing the positive, it will help our children have the power, the fortitude, the strength to overcome the negative. Yes, Ronnie, please.
Okay, I'm going to semi-disagree with you.
Please.
Having been a classroom teacher for many, 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 many decades, I taught a lot of entitled children who were constantly told how special they were, on and on and on. And they come into the classroom and they feel they have this air of superiority, and it's not a good thing. I think modesty is is a trait that I would try to encourage my children to have, rather than this constant affirmation.
Right. So I want to distinguish. You're saying very good, Ronnie. Ronnie's saying as a school teacher for over 30 years, I believe, right?
Over 40 years.
Over 40. You're not even 40 years old. How's that possible?
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. So Ronnie, who's been a school teacher for over 40 years, is saying that perhaps that's not accurate, because there's so many children who you've seen over the years that come with an entitlement mentality, where they think that everything is coming to them also, and they come with a sense of arrogance because their parents may have told them how great they are or how perfect they are, and they believe it. And you see that they're not perfect, and you see that they're not. Okay, so I would first want to distinguish between a teacher and a parent. I think a parent's job is to teach their children how great they are, but a teacher is also an educator, a partner with the parents. And I think that that's something that may be lost in our generation, where schooling hasn't really, it really is a partnership, and it should be such. It should be a complete partnership between the parents and the teacher. And if they don't see eye to eye, it could be very problematic, because the child could get very mixed messages, and there can be many power struggles have been, I'm sure you've experienced over the years, between the parents and the teacher. You have to realize that you need to be a team. You need to be a team together with the parents. But as a general principle, people, you can see this from animals, by the way. Do you know how they train animals? Positivity. They train animals with positivity. When they do the right thing, they give them their chewies, they give them their candies, or they give them whatever it is they give to the dogs, right? But when they do the right thing, and they keep on encouraging the right activity because it's rewarding for them. Our children are exactly the same. When we encourage them with the right thing. Now, there's a way to do it. We have to be very smart in our education of our children, but there is a way to do it where we look, as a parent, I'll be honest with you, I have 7 children with a tremendous gift from Hashem, and I'm thankful to Hashem every single day for my amazing children, my amazing wife and children. But we face challenges all the time with children, and I have seen myself many, many, many times wanting to just punch the kid. Right? God forbid I would never do that, but I want to, and instead I remember this principle. I say, you know what? I'm going to go give the child a hug now. I really want to punch them, but I'm going to give them a hug, because the hug will be so much more effective. It'll be so much more helpful to that child than me beating them down, telling them you're an arrogant, you're an ingrateful, we can beat up our. Thank God I have amazing children, but still, everyone faces challenges, and everyone faces things that are not necessarily on the top of their like list, right? Within our families, with our children, with our friends, with our neighbors, with our fellow congregants in synagogue. So the reality is that not everyone sees the world the way we see it, and not everyone acts the way we think they should act. But when we say something positive, it opens people up to recognizing right from wrong. Otherwise, we get locked up and we have this barrier not allowing us to even accept what other people say. So perhaps we can use a positive to then later explain to the child the right way to act. But it can't come by just beating up. Yes, Ronnie, you have part 2.
Part 2. Good morning, Leah. Can you hear me? Can Leah hear me?
Yeah, she's there. She hears. She should be able to hear you.
She hears me, but she's not. She was my teacher's principal. She doesn't hear me.
Leah, you there?
Huh? Maybe, and Rachel. Leah, can you hear me? No. I'm talking about something different. I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, this happened. I had a child from a very affluent family come into the classroom, terribly spoiled, was always told that everything they did was wonderful. They never had any consequences for their actions. And they walked into the classroom, took off their sweater, and dropped it on the floor. And I said, can you please hang up your sweater? No, I don't have to. Because that's how the child was raised.
All right. So I'll tell you like this. I understand. Let me tell you an amazing story. It's a true story. I heard this from the source, okay? From the actual rabbi that was teaching this class. There was a big class in the yeshiva where I grew up. And many, it started with a small class, because that is the springboard for our growth. The springboard for us becoming great people, is identifying and acknowledging our virtues, our positive traits. And the minute we're able to understand them, value them, appreciate them, is the moment we will become greater people. We will have the tools necessary to become greater people. So our sages continue here and say, "V'chol isko im atzmo hu rak Laharchiv yidiotav al hara shebo liyaser. I wasn't exactly the easiest student, but I can tell you something, that my rabbis, the few rabbis that I had, they were able to see the virtues in me and in the other students, are the ones that have made the greatest impact on our lives, the ones that have transformed the way we live our lives. And that's what we need every single day of our lives. We need the positive reinforcement. Again, not to make someone an arrogant, selfish person, but rather when someone sees them, the energy, it gives them to overcome and transform. My grandfather's rabbi, he says the following. In this week's Torah portion, we see about, because they brought an offering, yearning for a connection with for the passers-by who really didn't even need to eat. Wanted so much to do this too. Say the yearning for his desire to connect to the Almighty. And then lastly, the last example we'll talk about today is before Samuel, the prophet, were pregnant and about to have a baby. What did they do? They all named their children Shmuel. They all named their children Samuel, because they were hoping that they would be their generation. We had all these Shmuels merited to have prophecy through the hand of Hashem. Hashem will bless us, that we will all be able to identify those traits. We will all be able to talk up about the negative. So if you have an opportunity every single day, we all do, in all of our daily experiences, we have many things that come up because we have so much good. Don't sell yourself short with your negativity, with the things. But the first step in our growth is recognizing our positive. My dear friends, have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for helping me start off my week with this charge, with this boost of energy, of recognizing our positive traits. And I look forward next week continuing this incredible study of growth and Musar together. Have a wonderful week, and thank you. If you have any questions or comments, you're welcome to leave them in the box below, in the comment box below. And those of you on Torch Zoom, you're welcome to unmute your microphones and ask any questions you have. For those of you listening on this podcast, thank you so much for tuning in, and we appreciate your feedback. Have a tremendously awesome week. All the best.